So I decided to do the suspended bass drum mic mount. I've seen several others on YouTube. One guy that used plate aluminum, which was great. I'm trying to use everything stuff that I just had laying around. This is actually just plywood, pretty thin. It's probably like 3/16. I notched out the hole here so I can adjust the depth of the mic however I want, or at least within that limitation. This is 8" by 8", and my slot is 5". And then that gentleman that did the aluminum plate, he used some rubber grommets, and I thought that was a good idea. I didn't really have any around, so all this is just small pieces of it's probably fuel line. It's just 1/4". Somewhere on there it's stamped 1/4". Anyway, just cut pieces of that. It's slightly bigger than my hole, so it's lodged in there pretty well. I think I'll do the same that he did and use some zip ties to each of the holes. And then I bought 25 feet of bungee cord. Oh, that's the mic cable. Bungee cord and some of the hooks. I guess all this is for, at least on Amazon, it's advertised as kayak hooks and bungee. I'm not sure what they use it for, but anyway, so I'll catch up when I get it suspended a little bit more. Oh, and I am gonna drill holes. My drum has vent holes, but they're not a traditional vent hole. They're just small holes that are drilled. You don't even see one now, but they're like 1/8" holes that are drilled periodically. So I am going to drill a hole and add the XLR port, which I did get on Amazon. I think they were $7.50 or something like that. So anyway, that's what's going on. So I have the mic mounted. Got my suspensions up. These guys are handy little dudes. The cable's pretty cheap. The hooks are a little pricey, and you're using 2 per, so you go through them rather quickly. But they're super simple. You pop this little cover off, put the cable in there, or put the sleeve on the cable, throw the cable down into the hook, and snap that cover on, and it locks it in place. They're nice and rigid. So I only ended up using 4 of those, and then just some cable ties down here. Got my XLR jack installed. Still got to test it out, and once I do that, then I'll tape that up a little bit, even though it should be fine the way it is, but I'll strap that up. But at this point, I'm happy with it. Really doesn't make any noise. I've moved it around a lot. I would have no issues with, packing it up like this and leaving it in there indefinitely. I don't see it ever being a problem. Should sound as good as ever, and then just not have the hassle of the mic stand out front. And if this proves successful, I'm going to do it to my toms as well, and maybe the snare. I haven't decided for sure on that, but. Anyway, maybe I'll post some videos of the toms if I do that, because I have not seen a lot of videos on snare or tom mounts other than the Randall Mays system, which looks pretty stinking awesome. If you have the coin to spend on that. But I was doing this on the cheap, so I think I have, like I said, 7 something in that jack. I forget what the cable was. $10-15, and maybe $8 or $10 for the hooks, the plywood and stuff I had. So I'm into this for less than $20 for sure. Anyway, cheers. So here's my DIY floor tom, or my 16". I have a 14 also. Then I'll probably do something similar. This looks a little like a little monstrosity, but I decided that I would give this a shot instead of spending the time to build a platform like I did for the kick drum. I've seen another gentleman on YouTube who had bought, I forget what it was, but was it was a metal piece. It had a spot for 2 microphones, I think. I think it was like for maybe a camera mount or something. Anyway, he took that and did it in essence the same thing that I've done here. So I mean, it looks a little hokey. It's got, you know, lots of zip ties, but it does have the suspension as well, in 3 places anyway. So I mean, all this I already had, with the exception of the XLR jack. And I know a lot of people have apprehension of drilling into their shells. It is a little unnerving, but it's really not that big a deal. It helps to have a good bit. I do have some pretty good woodworking tools. So this is the bit I'm using, 3/4 inch. These are maple shells, so I mean the wood is very dense, so it does take a little while to drill through. And then the screw holes those take a little while to drill through as well, and it's pretty easy to get those off. In fact, on this hole, these holes, I had them off a little bit and had to kind of ream them out a little bit to get them to line up. So I paid pretty close attention to those holes, you know, should you decide to venture in. But overall, I haven't played it yet, but it sounds pretty silent. The only noise you hear there are just the lugs. So when I get all of them done, I'll probably make a recording of the drums being played, so you can get an idea of how they sound. I did do a video before, so if I'm ambitious enough, maybe I'll put those 2 together where you can get a before and after. I did play the kick drum since I got it mounted, and I must say I'm pleased with it. It sounds really good. I've got a clear head on the front, on the batter side, and so I watched as I played, and it really, the mount didn't really, I could see it move a little bit, but not much at all. So I think that's going to be rock solid, and hopefully this will be as well. Anyway, thanks for watching. So here is my floor tom mount, really similar to the bass drum mount. Obviously aligned differently since it's a floor tom, but same principle, just a thin sheet, 1/4 inch plywood. Again, the rubber fuel line used as grommets. There is tension on it. No noise other than just the rattle of the lugs. I did try initially to mount it quick and easy without doing all the woodwork, and tried to use the existing mount. This is a Shure, it's the lower end, shoot, what model is it? PGA 52. Not a bad mic by any means, but it mounts to this guy that clips onto your rim. So I tried strapping that up in here and got it to be secure enough, but there was a horrible high frequency overtone that I couldn't get rid of. I initially had the mic up pretty close to the top of the shell, pulled the head again, dropped it back down, even put a piece of dense foam kind of covering it all, and it actually seemed worse. So I have yet to test it in this manner. I'm hoping the wood with the rubber grommets solves that issue. Otherwise, I guess the next thing would be to try a different mic, but hopefully this will solve the issue. I will report back. And I think I am going to go ahead and put the foam in there over that. I've seen that even recommended with the Maze system, because there was, I guess, some complaints of some overtones even using that system. So anyway, we'll see how this works. So here's my 14-inch floor tom. I'm using an Audix D6 on this. Use the same method. I did not insert the rubber fuel line. This still seems to be quiet, suspended really well. So we'll see how that works, but followed the same process as I did on the 16. And I did want to mention, when I got the 16 all put back together with the wood platform, I had mentioned the high frequency overtones that I got with that little plastic microphone mount. So when I put it together with the wood, they were still there. Disturbingly so. I mean, the drum sounded good at a lower volume, but if you really smacked it, it really had just a weird, odd ring. So I pulled the head again, flipped the mic upside down, thinking maybe that would make a difference. I was thinking maybe there was, because I don't have standard vent holes, they're just, I mentioned that before, they're hard to see. They're hidden behind the lug. So they're like, there's 3 of them, like, I don't know if you can see down there if I zoom. Yeah, so it's right below that bolt hole there. There's like 3 per drum, depending on the size of the drum. They're like 1/8 inch holes, which is cool. I mean, it's hidden. You can kind of see it there. Anyway, I was thinking, well, maybe there's not enough airflow. Anyway, I started looking around at my mixer, and I had some reverb on the drum, more than I realized, I guess. So when I started playing around with the effects and trimmed that reverb down some, that took it away completely. So I probably could have got away with those with the cheaper plastic mount, but this is definitely a better setup. I'm certainly happy with this. But anyway, I will probably at some point do. I have a 10 and a 12. I'll probably do both of them and maybe one of my snares. And when I get all that done, then I'll make a before and after recording and post that up too. Cheers, happy drumming.